Are we interviewing anyway?
We are
Who are we
interviewing
interviewing?
the Facebook page. I'll get the fucking page up.
Oh, Facebook page.
It's a
Wow.
Facebook page. Yes, this is for my Facebook. Fuck, what did I rename it to?
Are we
The
are we
Giffle.
are we interviewing Mark Zuckerberg?
I wish. I would love to interview Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
The page we are interviewing is Anomaly Retrieval Agency on Facebook.
Just bring them in. Where are they? Where are we going?
Should I bring them in, or should I go and interview them by myself?
Go by yourself.
I should probably go by myself.
Yeah. Go by yourself.
I will be back, guys, for the rest of the show, because after I've done this interview, I'm going to be revealing the winners of the outro competition from like a month ago.
I think I thought I already knew.
No, because I haven't told anyone yet.
Oh.
Okay, well anyway, stick around, guys. I'll be back.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Okay, everyone. Sorry, Randu. So. So we're going to be interviewing this page, Anomaly Retrieval Agency. Now, this is really interesting. I have some questions in my head brain that I'm going to ask. Randu, I'm gonna... Yeah, sorry, Randu. Type it in the chat. Sleep. Oh, okay. Ignore it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna call him now, and let's see what happens. I'm really looking forward to this. This will be my first in-person interview with one of these pages for the GIF4 series, or Facebook Finds, if I decide to keep that name and not change it to the GIF4. So let's start the call. Let me just check they're ready. So, let me give you a little rundown of this page. It's a home finding services-esque page that posts various things, but in a more professional standard. It's based heavily off the SCP Foundation. I even talked about it in one of my previous videos, the first of the Facebook Finds episodes. So I am looking forward to doing my first actual live in-person interview. Let's get right into it in 3, 2, 1. If they don't pick up, I'm going to scream. Hello!
Greetings. Hi. Before we proceed with the interview, I will inform you about some legal stuff.
Okay.
If any confidential information is leaked, please note that we will take custody of everything being recorded here. And note that if any Class 3 leak or higher occurs, you will be detained and wiped of all data regarding our company. Do you still wish to continue with the interview?
I'm going to go with...
Fantastic.
Okay, let's go. Well, hypothetically, just like a crazy hypothetical, if you don't mind, what if I were recording this entire conversation?
We know you are, sir.
Fantastic.
It's all right, as long as any confidential information is not leaked, which is my day-to-day job, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Wonderful.
I will, of course, notify you if you start digging a little too deep.
Will do.
By the way, I'm Lieutenant Vox.
Lieutenant what?
Vox.
Vox. Okay.
That's my code name, really, so...
Brilliant. Well, it's good to meet you, Lieutenant Vox. Let's get straight into it. I took an interest in your group once I found the Facebook page, as I'm sure you're aware, as we've had conversations in the past.
Indeed. Well, the Facebook page is basically a test. We've existed for longer, of course, but just like the SCP Foundation has actually gone a little more public recently, we decided to do the same. Now, everything you see on the Facebook page should be taken with a grain of salt, of course, as it is heavily redacted.
I can only imagine. How has the publicity, the newfound publicity of the page, or the newly incited publicity of the page by your group, has it affected the company's work in any way?
Well, our stock prices has increased, first of all, but complications has of course occurred. We have seen a lot of fake reports, but that is to be expected, which is why our agents is working hard to crack down on these.
Okay. Well, I hope that you still manage to do your jobs well enough despite that. Has there been much? Has there been too much attention on the page in terms of things like comments or messages to the page?
Well, it is what we expected. We have actually gone a lot more growth than we expected in the first couple of months. But yeah, we've seen in a lot of messages, especially from you.
Ah, I see.
But most of the messages we receive are yeah, comedy stuff of people trying to say that they've experienced any anomalous activity. But yeah, we had a good laugh here at the data staff.
I can only imagine. How do you figure out which ones of these messages are legitimate requests for retrieval or which ones are just jokes? Is it easy
Oh,
or is it sometimes difficult?
it's pretty easy because we don't take any requests from normal personnel. We have people in most big cities in Europe, Asia, and North America and South America. And if there are any anomalous activities reported on the normal emergency radios, we will take over from there if we have the clearance.
Well, that's you seem very. Your company seems very on top of things. I'm surprised I haven't heard of you earlier. Although I suppose the on top of things covers that. I've been asked to ask what kind of anomalies does your company tend to capture, and how does your company differ in that respect from the SCP Foundation?
Well, first of all, the SCP Foundation, they are more about confinement of these anomalies, of course, but we focus only on the containment or capture, so they can be contained, of course.
I see. So you're like the excuse the comparison.
MTFs.
Yes, you're like the dog catchers, and the Foundation is like the pound.
You can say that.
I see.
Of course, we're a little more militaristic since we are a conglomerate of old military powers that simply get together.
I see.
We were actually founded in officially in 1991, but works started all the way back in 1989 with the fall of the Berlin Wall. That allowed us to actually expand into the eastern parts of Europe after a long time of silence there.
That's interesting. Yes. You say that work started in 1981. Would you be able to tell me anything more about that? Were there any older groups before this one was founded that perhaps handled things back in those days before 1991?
Of course, there is Soviet anomaly state bodies, of course, non-private. That's part of the Eastern Bloc, but other than that, that's confidential information. I do not know.
Okay. So what I gathered earlier about the methodology, the way that you are, like, as you said, the MTF, you capture the things, but you don't focus on the actual confinement. You're a retrieval agency, not a containment agency.
Exactly.
Has your company ever felt the need to perform experiments or tests on any anomalies?
We do test on the anomalies that pop up normally. One we have published to the official on the Facebook page, for example, is the anomaly we call A43. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's stairs that appear randomly in the woods. They've actually
Yes,
been
I
in
think I.
stories around the internet before. So that's why we decided that most people would either brush it off as fake or take it seriously. And this is an anomaly that needs awareness.
Mm,
But
is it dangerous at all? A43.
it is extremely dangerous if not handled correctly. It's an anomaly class 7 out of 10, which basically means that it can cause death on a massive scale if not handled correctly. We don't know how it works. basically, it can happen if somebody
Welcome to the
touches
stream,
or goes all the
Suspendius.
way up the
It's good to see
stairs.
you. I hope you enjoy the interview.
Basically, what we know is if that happens, bad stuff happens too. We've had sad incidents where people have died, loss of limbs, even body parts replaced, internal organs disappearing, and veins popping. So,
That's awful.
yeah, exactly.
I'll be sure to raise awareness myself for this A43. So, does the company not hold any anomalous entities or items at all? They do you hold them yourselves, or do you give them to other companies such as the SCP Foundation or what have you?
Most of this is confidential, but we do keep a few anomalies for ourselves that we found via our agents that can aid us. For example, in equipment with actually dealing with anomalies, we have some specialized equipment for that requires help from some anomalies.
I see. Would you be able to tell me what any of those anomalies are that help you out?
That is confidential, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I won't pry too far.
That's probably smart.
Well, what can I say? I don't do many smart things. Now, I was wondering, another group that's listed on your in your banner photo is the United States Department of Defense.
Yeah, that is well, we're still digging in a very confidential.
I see.
But like the CIA, they have special branches of the state government, and set you just named is dealing with anomalous happenings around the country.
Now, I recognize these two other logos in your cover banner, but would you be able to identify them for me? Obviously, some of them are redacted, and you don't need to worry about those.
Well, the one right next to is actually called the Global Occult Coalition.
Yes,
and,
of course. I'm familiar with the GOC.
Well, it's basically the UN's answer to the Foundation. However, we don't have a high trust factor with those because they have shown they're incapable of testing rightfully before they act. So we've seen bad things happen actually
Well,
due to it.
I think the GOC leads on to a question that's just been asked, that I've just been asked to ask. Have you ever had experience with any of what the SCP Foundation lists as groups of interest? We've already spoken about the GOC, but what about the Chaos Insurgency or any other? I believe that other logo may also be from a GOC. Sorry, a GOI.
It's called the RCP Authority. It's a
Yes.
version of the SCP. Different
yes,
company you could call it.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, we have done with a lot of partners really. Most of confidential, of course. So yeah,
It's interesting.
we do contract from many people. Recently, we've done contracts with the Church of the Broken God, but again, it's all depending on contract trust.
I think it's very interesting that these groups, the Global Occult Coalition, the Church of the Broken God, I think it's interesting that they would work with you, that the SCP Foundation would continue to work with you, considering that you would side yourselves with who they consider to be enemies.
Well, we don't side with any of them, not even the SCP. We have, and that shows how much we're willing to do for them. And the SCP Foundation's ranks the highest outside of us. We're the highest trust we can have is ourselves, of course.
Of course.
And so we don't deal with the Chaos Insurgency, and that's because of extreme lack of competence with dealing with anomalous activities, simply to put it.
I see. What about other seemingly incompetent groups such as Are We Cool Yet or Gamers Against Weed?
Gamers Against Weed, we haven't done anything. Are We Cool Yet? We worked with them a little on a few contracts confidential, but we stopped because some of the stuff that they've been into contact with have actually been anomalous. So we've actually had to go out and retrieve it for, let's say, the SCP Foundation. So we don't work with others that can cause new anomalous activity.
I see. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Have you ever had any anomalous entities or objects, as I'm quoting directly from the way it's been asked in my stream chat, have you ever had any escape your grasp? Have you ever failed to capture?
Well, yes, we have. It happens. Of course, you can have a perfect score, really, which is also a reason why some people, a large corporation that deals with these anomalies, if let's say they want a clean record to appear more nice to the stock market and investors, we can go in and help them with this because we are highly specialized in retrieving them, so we can minimize casualties for them.
Okay, Randu, thanks for coming by. Are you familiar with some of the even more secretive than the SCP Foundation groups, such as the Black Watchman or Night Team 4?
Confidential information, I'm afraid to say.
Okay, I won't pry too far. But I would be interested. Who knows? Maybe I'll get taken down just for mentioning those names. But anyway, moving on to our next question. I was just wondering, is there a group that runs the Facebook page, a group within you that runs the Facebook page, or is it just the data team?
Well, we are a part subdivision of data social media division. And we have 2 people who manage comments, messages, and all that. Really, we don't need any more. But what requires a lot of work is really approving these for public view. And some of these have actually taken years to getting approved, which is why we waited so long.
Thank you very much,
becoming
Suspendius. That's
public
very
with
nice
some
of you
of
to
this,
say.
especially the page here. However, we have gone public before in some scenarios, but that is, again, confidential information, really.
That's a shame. I would have liked to know some of these stories of when you've gone public in the past.
Yeah, but really, we have around, it's actually every day going through everything, and it starts from the lower ranks, and each in this chain has to actually approve of this and give a good reasoning why. It takes a lot of money, first of all, and a lot of time, really. So we're slow with pumping out these because, again, we don't want anything that could potentially be harmful for us or the civil population to actually go past our safety net.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to the next question, I was personally wondering, considering the extreme level of secrecy that is, of course, going to be involved in your line of work, or your group's line of work in general, why have you decided to do this interview with me today?
We've done a lot of interviews, but those were mainly to private investors and all that. But since we've gone public with the Facebook page, we began to open a little bit up, but only for stuff we want people to know, because we can't have everything going out in the public. Also, would probably cause mass hysteria, of course. But the reasoning is some stuff is good to know, some stuff isn't. Yeah, that's really it.
So is the publicity of the page more of a public safety announcement service more than anything?
You could call it that, really. But yes, yeah, in short terms, you can say that.
Are there any, besides A42, was it? A43?
A43 you might refer to?
Yes. Besides that one, are there any that you would like to spread the word of here today?
Well, I got my supervisor breathing down my neck right. We should at least prepare for an interview about this kind of controversy beforehand. But some that we actually have experienced that it could have caused a massive amount of damage when not handled correctly is something that recently happened in Portugal. I don't know if you've seen the post. It was actually in the capital of the country, and it was basically a notebook that when passed around, people would cite frantic behavior and scribble down awful things. Really, it wasn't that dangerous, but it simply got out of hand very quickly, and that's why we had to deploy some drastic measures to simply make people forget. But the worst part about all this still pops up because when so many people are in contact with an anomaly, it's extremely hard to deal the right amount of amnestics, of course.
I see. My next question is: are you familiar with groups such as Home Finding Services and Big Dave's Oddity Removal Services?
Well, we got messages from Facebook from you where we found out about these people, and we checked them out. Really, there's nothing much else to say about them. So no, not outside of our Facebook page. We haven't really heard about these people.
I was wondering, especially in the past couple of days, as Big Dave's Oddity Removal has been targeted by the SCP Foundation, and I was wondering if you would have any insight into that.
I can't speak on behalf of any of these corporations.
Okay, that's fine. That is all the questions I had prepared for today. Is there anything you would be interested in talking about?
Well, a question we've actually gotten a lot is what kind of that we experienced.
Sorry, I'm having some connection issues. Can you repeat that?
Of course, that might just be the encryption here. Wait a second. All right, it should be cleared up probably. Can you hear me?
I can.
Fantastic. Well, anomalous activity can come in many forms. Luckily, most of the time it's objects, because if you get creatures, that's when it becomes highly dangerous in most cases. We actually had to deal with a sentient anomaly recently. We called it. It was on the mission report A208. I don't know if you read it, but luckily that was a very passive anomaly. Really, it was basically an empty spacesuit that moves around
Welcome
on
to
its own will.
Streamcars.
We don't know much else about it as we delivered it to our contractor.
I see. May I ask who the contractor was?
That is confidential information.
That's just fine. Well, once again,
Is there anything more that you want to know about us?
as I've said, those were all the questions that I had prepared for today. Would you be willing or open to a interview in future? Should I have any further questions?
Hang on a second there, sir.
They've muted, so I'm gonna have to wait a second. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in the stream chat, and I will ask them as soon as we are back connected.
All right, I'm back. My superior gave clearance level before the interview. You should have the option to choose between the clearance level. Your trust factor has risen a bit, but it's not enough to actually come a level higher than 4 at least. Please note, if you do an higher level than me, you will probably be met with a guy with a voice changer, or that's simply because we want to hide the higher ups' identity, simply.
I can understand that. Well,
any further questions, sir?
I don't believe I do have any further questions. No one else seems to have any further questions. So, just for a definitive answer, was that a yes? The company would be open to a future interview, but it would be the clearance level that would be a bit fiddly.
Yeah, indeed. You are currently clearance level 3. Any higher than that, you will of course be able to pry out more information because you will speak to people that actually have more knowledge than me.
I
A lot
see.
of information. When you rank up in our organization, you get more information going. Yeah, that's basically how it works. So the higher trust factor you have, the higher you can go up with interviews and maybe even become part of our team one day.
Wow.
But we'll see about that, of course.
Yes. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time and for answering my questions so well. Um, I hope this isn't the end of our professional relationship, and that in future we can speak more. Um,
Of course, so.
once again, thank you. Is there anything further you'd like to say to my stream chat before we wrap this up?
Yeah, there's one thing. We have gotten a lot of people actually faking appliance for rifle team jobs. And people shouldn't really do that. We give contracts out to people individually if they have the skills required, of course. So you can't really apply on this, we tell you. You can.
I see. Well, I'm sure my stream chat has gotten that, and YouTube will see this eventually also. Um, so
Glad to hear.
yes, well, I hope that your mission of spreading awareness of these things and retrieving them is successful. I wish you the best, and farewell for now.
Have a good night, sir, and stay safe.
You too. There we go, everyone. That was my first interview as part of this series. And there it was. There it was. What did you guys think of that? Was that that was much better than I thought it was going to be. The fact, like I don't know, the fact that he stayed in character the whole time was really fun. I liked that a whole lot. Welcome to the stream, Saint Apollyon. Kaz, it's so good to see you. I hope your appointment went well. I only caught the tail end, unfortunately, but it was a delightful time. Fantastic. Good to hear. That was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot. And I hope that I can do that again in future. To anyone listening who may be part of one of these pages, you don't have to be in character. I will happily interview someone who's out of character, just talking about the page. It was really quite cool, very enjoyable. Thank you, Suspendius. Same, I AFK'd after the show, but I'll see on clip. I would love to do more of that in future. That was so much fun. But I need to prepare better questions. I feel like I could have done more with the questions. What do you guys think? Do you think I asked good questions? Do you think I could have asked better questions?